Welcome to First Person Defender. Real people put into realistic self-defense training scenarios.
These are real scenarios.
Hey, give me your money.
The role player does not know what's going to happen. We go through the first scenario, see how they handle it, and then we pick one thing that they could have done to increase their survivability, train it a little bit, and then run them through a similar scenario.
Each weapon is loaded with Simunition FX marking cartridges, the most realistic, non-lethal alternative to live ammunition. Simunition is the closest thing to the real deal.
Once you feel the pain penalty once, you don't want to feel it again.
For this type of force-on-force training, role players are required to wear protective gear.
Come on, hit me.
It is as real as it gets. Their heart rate's elevated, their respiratory rate's elevated, their adrenaline is dumping into their blood. They are scared and amped up.
I got a gun! Back up!
Get out of my house! My name is Barrett Kendrick. I am a firearms instructor. I have a training school in the Louisiana area. I always consider myself a student, so I try to put in a couple hundred hours every single year in training with other instructors. I'm always trying to learn something new. I would never believe that I had an absolute, that I knew everything.
After learning about Barrett's background, Benny and Louie discuss how the scenario will be tailored to his level of experience.
When you have somebody who's exposed to the training aspect and understands how training has to be set up, they're going to use the tactical advantages and the knowledge that they learned through training.
You kind of have to force a little bit more aggression upon him by giving him something that either he values or placing him in a situation where he's going to have to either confront you or disengage in a tactical manner, but at least getting the level of training that you're desiring through the scenario you're painting up. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to place a lady in a car, and that's going to simulate Barrett's significant other. And after a long road trip, they're going to stop at a gas station. For whatever the reason is, she's decided to remain in the vehicle, which is going to be locked but still running. He's going to go into the business, and then upon returning, he's going to be confronted by two angry people trying to gain entry into his vehicle, at which point in time his significant other is going to be unarmed, contained within that vehicle.
I have absolutely no clue what's getting ready to happen.
Basically, is you and your significant other are traveling a great distance. You've had to stop for you to take a bathroom break. You've entered into the business, and when we break cover and you walk back outside, whatever the scenario is, play it for what it is. And we basically gave him the instructions to, proceed with the scenario as he sees it, and everything was in play. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
All right, let's go do it.
Let's do it.
As soon as I opened the door, I noticed that two individuals looks like they were trying to make entry into my automobile to where my wife was sitting in the passenger seat at that point.
Open up the car now!
Hey, what are y'all doing? I did start to move closer towards them to where hopefully that would redirect their attention.
Hey, open up the car!
Sir, can I help you with something?
Open up the car now!
He started closing the distance. He became pretty solely focused on the immediate threat that was in front of him.
Help you
Open
with
up the
something?
car now!
As he proceeds directly out into the open and stops and starts giving verbal challenges.
Sir,
Open up
get
this
away
car
from
now!
the car.
Open up this car now!
Get away from the
Open
car.
up this car now!
I was able to see both of the individuals. However, one of them became more violent on the passenger side of the vehicle, so I wanted to make sure that I did have a clear path towards him.
Open up this car!
He takes his focus off of the guy on the driver's side, moves to the suspect on the passenger side.
When I saw that, I took that as a window of opportunity for me to be able to get the drop on him.
Black Ops, the baddest tactical 1911 on the planet.
If you need a gun, you need XS Sights. They give you an advantage in high-stress, low-light situations. For more information, go to xssights.com. If you need a gun, you need XS Sights.
Open up
Get
this
away
car
from
now!
the car.
Open up this car now!
Get away from the
Open
car.
up this car now!
First rounds in a gunfight usually change the gunfight. First hits in a gunfight even more so. Well, the first 2 hits in the gunfight were on Barrett.
Move away from my car. That's my...
He's got 2 hits, but he continued to fight through, which is something that we really try to stress, is that good guys don't die. They continue to fight as long as there's still air in his lungs. Barrett ends up with 2 shots, and both the perpetrators end up with multiple gunshot wounds.
I believe he hit me 3, maybe 4 times.
Right in the dinky.
It definitely took me out of the fight when he hit me in the pelvic girdle.
Although Barrett put effective shots on target, he was wounded in the gunfight. And oftentimes, even guys with extensive training can overlook the obvious.
Could have put some cover of concealment between you and the threat.
I had, seeing that they were both on both sides of the car, the only option was the vehicle. 1, it doesn't stop rounds. 2, if I'd have gotten close enough to use the vehicle as cover or concealment at that point, I felt that I would have given up enough distance to where if they wanted to attack me with a pencil, they could
the angle on the Mazda behind you.
Yes, I failed to notice the first car being in play at all.
Not only could cover or concealment have increased his odds, there's more.
Before we ever go out and insert ourselves in a situation, we can pick up our phone, our cell phone that we carry, dial 911, give them the location where we're at, give them what we see, describe ourselves, describe our fiance, describe our vehicle, give the license plate number of said vehicle, and then hang up with them and tell them, you are armed and you're gonna go try to defuse the situation and save your wife. They may give you some different directions, and I'm gonna tell you at that point in time, you have to do whatever you feel most morally obligated to do. You were afforded the opportunity to pick your position from which to fight. And I think that's the only place you fell truly short was in picking your position to fight from. You approached all the way to somewhere in this flat part of the driveway here, which gave you a good line. You were actually pretty good as far as your angles on the 2 threats, on the 2 perpetrators. However, what do you have to use for yourself? Nothing. What do they have to use? They've got a vehicle as concealment that contains your significant other. Well, that's probably not the best thing for you because you're out here dancing in a gunfight with absolutely no cover or concealment. Fair enough?
Fair enough. I had some mistakes on the first go-around. I failed to notice that vehicle.
This is the best portion of cover, even though it's not great cover. This sheet metal is terrible cover, but it's better than nothing. It's better than standing out there in open.
That does give you some kind of protection, some kind of layer. If a bullet impacts something prior to impacting your body, it's probably going to slow down significantly, and therefore your chances of living definitely go up.
We got down about 6 to 8 feet behind this vehicle, and we crouched down here. I can work this angle on Benny with no problem. I can work this angle on Ryan with no problem.
From this position, Barrett still has good angles on his adversaries. And now, he also has the tactical advantage. Another key advantage to taking this position is distance.
Some people feel that their ability only dictates that they can only reach out about 10, 15, maybe 20 yards, some or greater. When you have somebody who has technique and skill with the firearm, the greater distance is always going to prevail for them.
Most people who commit crimes don't generally have the same firearms training that we have. So that distance becomes our friend. So we're going to allow ourselves to use the skill sets that we've spent the time developing to our best advantage.
The debrief, when we walk through that, that's the important part of scenario training. That's where I got to go through, see where those mistakes were made, to where you're able to pick those up. That way where you can learn from those mistakes and move forward to where you don't make them a second time.
Barrett's initial reaction was pretty much what you'd expect from just about anybody. That was a legitimate emotional response. Most people are going to want to approach and get these people away from their significant others.
When the bond between hand and gun feels as true as a perfectly placed shot, it's not by accident, it's by design. M&P, advanced by design.
Nosler Defense ammunition is loaded up front with the bonded performance line of bonded core defense bullets. Professionals trust their next move to Nosler Defense.
For more than 100 years, the .45 auto cartridge has been a favorite handgun round for military, police, and citizens who have guns for self-defense. The recoil actually is pretty mild. and can be mastered by almost anyone, especially with good instruction. The 230 grain bullet is standard, as evidenced by 2 loads from Nosler Defense, a bonded tipped bullet, and a bonded hollow point. Whether in the classic 1911 auto or a modern polymer pistol, the 45 delivers. First Person Defender, brought to you by XS Sights, Smith & Wesson, Nosler, Crimson Trace, Simunition, and Remington. With everyone in position, it's time for scenario number 2.
The second scenario starts very similar to the way the first one starts.
He sees 2 individuals beating on the vehicle, trying to, take that car or take control of the vehicle, their vehicle.
My name is Barrett Kendrick. I took my cell phone out and called the authorities. I gave them the location where we were, as well as the description of myself. I let them know the fact that I was armed and that I was dealing with 2 threats at that point. I am armed and I've got to go defuse this situation. Please send authorities. I left the phone open with 911, and that's when I did start to move out at that point and then made contact to the 2 subjects.
Hey, what are y'all doing?
You think I'm playing? You better mind your business, man.
That's my truck, man.
Mind your business. Hey, girl, unlock this door now. Unlock this door now, girl. I ain't playing. Drive away.
I noticed that the vehicle was running, so I did try to alert my wife just to drive off at that point.
Tracy, drive away. Get in the driver's seat and drive away.
He was able to communicate with his significant other, and therefore he chose the best method, and that was by telling her to go ahead and drive the vehicle off.
I've already called the cops.
And when that happened, you could literally see the will to fight in the 2 suspects diminish very quickly.
Keep on going on.
Well, when the vehicle drives off like that, it's kind of like standing out in the open naked. You know, and my accent may have kicked in right there, but naked.
I've already called the cops. They're on their way.
After I kind of told them that authorities were on their way, they in return started to walk off.
So y'all just keep on going.
They had nothing left to gain by being there.
Come on, bro. Let's get out of here.
They continued to make threats towards me, but were de-escalating it by walking away.
That's all right. We'll come back. We'll get another
Y'all
one.
just keep on going. They're on their way.
No shots were fired, and obviously that's going to be a better ending at any time than anybody firing a gun.
I mean, everything you did was really good all the way through the entire exercise. You know, her being able to comply and drive off, it really ended the exercise really well. Everybody was safe. No gunshots were exchanged. Barrett's execution of the second scenario was as good as you could expect under real-life scenario training circumstances. I mean, I'm sure we could find a small error here or there, but as far as the overall performance, I would give it an almost flawless rating.
And he utilized distance, angles, layers, and cover in his favor. And when he was able to communicate with her and have her take our cover away from us, it was definitely a no-win situation for us.
If I was out in the open, I felt like I had nothing because I only had half of you and you had all of me.
Absolutely, and also once you drove off, the reason we're there is gone.
Because what they were there for was property and people. Well, when all that left, and they had somebody who was willing to fight, and they could tell he wasn't gonna back down, they had nothing left to gain by being there.
I absolutely love anything dealing with scenario training. I feel that this is a very important part of training that people leave out.
Barrett's execution of the second scenario was as good as you could expect under real-life scenario training circumstances. I mean, I'm sure we could find a small error here or there, but as far as the overall performance, I would give it an almost flawless rating.